Okay,
Hi, I'm
let me
Attorney
do that,
Vincent
sir.
Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event. Okay,
I don't see you, Mr. Davis.
there I am. How are you, Miss Richardson?
I am really good, actually, especially now that I get to talk to you.
Well, very good. What I'm going to do is this show is going to be geared towards you telling your story. So I'm going to be asking you some questions. Intermittently, I'll be, maybe giving you some advice or suggestions. But let's start off. What state and county are you in?
I'm in New York City, Kings County, Brooklyn.
Okay. Can you walk me through the events that led to CPS becoming involved with your family?
The original start was September 4th, where my ex-husband assaulted my 11-year-old, which is his stepchild, and myself. So the original report was open based on domestic violence. I got a order of protection for myself and both of my children. And the case went on to where CPS just was supposed to implement preventative service and some domestic violence and parenting classes, which I had already taken. So from September 4th to February 6th, my children were in my care when I had an altercation, with the school where it was a verbal thing. My child was sexually harassed, and I put in a formal complaint because I was not satisfied on, the investigation that the school completed. So I went, the civilian way, and they didn't like that. So approximately maybe 2 hours after that complaint went in, CPS, I'm sorry, excuse me, EMS was at my door with police saying that they received a call from my children's school saying that I was in duress and that I was threatening suicide. I was on the phone with my attorney at the time. I refused to answer my door, and my attorney actually spoke through the door on speaker and let them know that I would not be answering any questions. I would not be, I'm invoking my right to remain silent, and that, I'm not a danger to myself or anybody else at this time. I turned away from the door, and they basically rammed my door. They knocked my door down by force, and they took me, restrained to get a psychiatric evaluation. I received that evaluation and was released 45 minutes later with a follow-up appointment a month away. There was no imminent risk. There was no warrant issued. There are no extringent circumstance, and they did not provide any less restrictive alternative to removal. So, based on just my history and ultimate bias, I was targeted and my children were removed from school. Without my knowledge, the school did not contact me, even though that's in their policy and their bylaws, according to our chancellor's rules and regulations here in New York City. So, based on also my children are special needs children, so they require different additions and amendments according to that rules and regulation, protocol, procedural manual. And because I have a off and on ongoing complex history with CPS, with substance abuse, with mental health, with medical issues, with DV, and ultimate just knowledge of the system. Based on my melanin, I am not credible enough to be informed of my rights and, laws in the state. So even when I am stating actual facts and law by legal procedure, because I am an attorney, but I'm not allowed to practice here based on the allegations being mental impairment. So,
Well, let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
What was your initial reaction when CPS first contacted you, and how did they explain their concerns to you?
I was actually shocked because I had put a safety plan in place. I removed the person. I, secured water protection for myself and my children, and I reached out and I followed all the proper protocols. So when they did, when I did receive a phone call saying my children were being removed from school, I was a little confused on what the actual allegations were, and it was mental impairment. But yet, I've been in services just about all my life because I suffer with bipolar disorder. So I am knowledgeable, of, my mental health. I know when I'm in crisis. I know when I need to follow the skills and the the resources that I have implemented on my treatment plan. I am medication compliant. I have provided all these things to these agencies within the New York City CPS statute. And based on me not signing a HIPAA release, just formally that one document, the certified compliance letters that I've been providing every 2 weeks from these clinicians and therapeutic intervention, institutions, they are not even acknowledging or recognizing. So they are basically negating my civil rights or the right to not inform, them of what my medical or psychiatric diagnosis may be based on me being literally covered with the rights of the Constitution. Not only
Hold on, hold on.
yes,
Have any of the allegations that they've made against you have been found to be true by a juvenile court?
no, sir. We are actually in fact finding still. So the defense has just rested. So the next court proceeding will be November 18th because all attorneys were not in agreement on days. They had intake and supervision and whatever else that they do here in the state. And
Well, wait a minute. How long has your case been open?
approximately 23 months and 14 days.
Okay, when you say that you haven't done the fact-finding hearing, if my understanding of New York law,
They have
you know,
violated due process.
right. So
Exactly.
how is that possible?
Exactly. And that is why, as of right now, I kind of got them, excuse my expression, but by the balls, because now they have realized that I am a licensed bar attorney in New York City. They have violated my rights, and no agency within the CPS dynamic would speak to me without my attorney present. Although I've been asking for my attorney to be present every time, and they have violated that as well.
Who's representing you in this case? Don't give me a name. Is it a public or a private
No,
attorney?
it's a private retained attorney, and this is the fourth one. This is maybe why it took a little longer because I was getting inadequate representation. But based on me, I'm not well versed in my degree yet, but it is a learning process, and I read avidly. So it is a learning experience while I'm going through the process. But she's great, and even though she's come late to the game, she is on her job. So I can ask for anybody better, and she's a little firecracker. So hey, what more could I ask for? And she sees
Where are your children living right now?
they're actually with my ex-husband's best friend's mother. And in the beginning, she's not a family
You,
member.
hold
She's
on.
not a friend
Do you get along with that person?
at not at all. And
Wait a
in the
minute.
beginning, there was
How old are the children?
11 and 9 at this time.
Have you or your attorney made any type of motion to have the kids placed with a relative or a
Yes,
different family friend?
yes, sir. We have. I have motion for an emergency ICPC. The people that I have, explored. I wanted them to explore as resources. Were already cleared because one, she is the maternal aunt who was also the original foster parent 10 years ago when the original case opened. Two, she is a licensed sheriff in in her state. And three, my other sister that I actually asked to be explored. She's military and she's a licensed mental health social worker. So
Well, when you made the motion, what happened?
the motion was not heard based on them implementing order to show cause to suspend all my visits based on me causing mental destabilization to the children because I had a quote unquote win at all cost attitude.
That's what the judge said?
That's what the children's attorney said, and the judge agreed. I never got to speak. My attorney was never allowed to speak. That was the one time she was silenced, and we were not heard at all. So we
Did you
also
hold on. Did you file any appellate remedies?
Yes, we did, sir.
And
And
what happened?
based on us being in active fact finding at this time, and the defense had just rested, we were not allowed to have that motion to be heard in the state based on legalities. And me
Well,
having a
wait. I ask you, have you uh, attempted to seek any appellate remedies? You said yes, and then you told me something about the trial court. What
no,
did
no,
the appellate court say?
it has not been heard yet. We didn't get an answer back yet.
Oh, so this is something you just did?
Yes, yes, this is something we were just able to do based on the complexity of the case and where it was at what module.
Have you talked to your attorney? You said what module? You've been watching my videos, I see.
Absolutely.
The module is the easiest way to break down and analyze the
Yes,
case,
it
right?
is.
So, have you talked to your attorney about a possible, I don't know, civil rights lawsuit in federal court or something like that?
Absolutely, I have, and I've reached out. She definitely agrees with me based on my educational rights being, violated by the school as well. My medical rights were to the point where the judge had ordered me to be present for all my children's appointments, and the foster care agency, foster parent, and CPS negated that and violated that order. We put in an order of contempt, and it was uh, dismissed based on, again, them making it seem like I am constantly, incessantly, that was the word they used, incessantly, calling the police to do wellness checks. So, we already established in court that it was only twice. And those two times were legit, they were credible reasons. One, my child was sent to school in active crisis, hearing auditory hallucinations with sleep deprivation. And two, my other child was sent to school with an eye that was infected. I received feedback from a DOE employee, and because I would not release her name, they basically said I was destabilizing and losing touch with reality based on me being diagnosed with bipolar. So now they're clinicians. So I was just assuming, what hat are they trying to wear?
There's I'll call it famous, but it's not really that famous to the regular public, to the people in the know in the civil rights industry. There was a case in California, in Los Angeles County, where the social workers diagnosed the parent with a mental health disorder. The court, the CPS court, went along with it and sustained the allegations against the mother
Wow.
and took the child away from the mother, placed the child with the biological father, and the mother and father, they
Had
were
split up,
like
right?
that. They didn't get along. And the lady brought a lawsuit against the CPS and the workers. And the lady won, and won at a jury trial, as a matter of fact. And
Wow.
one of the basis for the award, I believe, was the social workers don't have the expertise to
Give you
diagnose mental health conditions
exactly.
unless they're a psychiatrist or a psychologist licensed in the state. Well,
They're
these
not even
ladies,
licensed,
well,
period.
these ladies weren't licensed, and I think that was part of the jury award. I knew, and I watched some of the trial, and I knew several of the attorneys that represented this woman. But yeah, social workers can't make diagnoses like that. I recently talked to a person um, who's a potential client, and he told me that a social worker testified in his case that he was microdosing, whatever that means, on drugs because he was testing clean in his drug testing, but he was microdosing, and that she knew that he was still using drugs by the way he acted and his demeanor and speech and all that kind of stuff, which is
Wow.
interesting, because and unfortunately, I think he told me that his attorney did not object to that.
Wow. So
So
we have inadequate representation.
maybe, but social workers will try to give you, you know, uh, all types of, opinions about people. And they throw it up on the wall, hope the judge lets it into evidence over objection, and hopes the judge rules in their favor. I remember a case that I did it was years ago, maybe 20 years ago, where the social worker opined that my client was crazy.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm dealing with. So,
Well, I mean, I think that was the word she used. It's been so long, I don't remember. But everybody, all the social workers on the case thought that my client was crazy. And it was the judge ruled that he wasn't crazy to the extent that he couldn't take care of the child. And I
okay.
objected to their professional opinion about whether he was crazy or not. But the judge let it in, but then ruled in my favor and said, you know, he's a little odd, right? But
But
he's
that doesn't
really
make him unsafe.
protective. He's
Right.
really protective of this kid and maybe overly protective,
That's
but
me.
he wasn't a danger to the child. And that's what they had to prove at the disposition hearing. So being odd is not a basis to keep your kid away from you. You
Right.
know, everyone acts differently, has different beliefs, different feelings, and they carry that out through their parenting style. The question becomes, is he
Unsafe.
crazy or odd such that he would be a danger to the child? And I remember it was kind of interesting the way the judge worded his decision. You can be odd. You can, you're different from people that are social workers and lawyers in this area.
Right.
That doesn't mean you're not safe for your kid, right? So it's one of those things that everybody tries to put you in their box, make you believe their religion, right?
Right. Yep.
And all other religions are wrong. And unfortunately, for the social worker, this is America, and we have many different religions.
Right.
I don't want to leave any out, so I won't start naming them, but there's a lot of different religions. And then there's people that don't believe in a religion, right?
Exactly. There's the spiritual. Exactly.
Right. That doesn't mean that they're wrong, right? That doesn't mean that hold on, somebody's calling me. Sorry about that. That doesn't mean that they're wrong, right? That means they're different. And this is America, and we're all different. But when you judge a person about whether they can keep their kid or not, they don't have to be, that certain class of Christian,
Right.
right? They don't have to be where you're from. They don't have to have your
Values and morals.
values and morals and education.
Correct. And
Now, it's been years since that case, and this kid has grown up, and nothing ever happened to that kid. He was raised by his parents,
true.
primarily my client, the father, and things were great. Somebody criticized him one time of being one of those helicopter parents. Well, you don't, that may not be the best parenting, but it's surely not a basis to take your kid away from you,
Right.
you know? So, that's some of the stuff that you may be facing. And I think that until you have to appeal or take a writ on everything, every decision that goes against you, you talk to your attorney about that. And also, until you sue them, they're not going to believe that you're serious.
I know. Well,
As
they
far
know
as
I'm similar. They know I'm serious now because even the the CPS commissioner's office out here in New York, they won't speak to me because they have been starting to get investigated. And I will quote the words: "Since people have been thrown under the bus, nobody would like to speak to you based on investigations and reports that have been made."
right. Did you ever, I may have talked to you in the past, have we?
Yes,
Okay.
many
I
times.
did I ever tell you that you should consider filing a complaint with the federal government?
Yes, with the Human Rights Commission, which I've done,
Okay, no,
and
no. Department of Health and Human Services.
services. I've done that, and the Commission on Human Rights I've done as well. I've also
What
reached
about
out to the Attorney General. Yes,
the U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division?
I have not done that,
Okay.
but I will definitely do
Yeah,
that.
you should do that. It costs you nothing to file the complaint.
Oh,
And if they get in on an investigation and hook up with another agency, they may expose what's been going on in your case. Because, I haven't reviewed any documents in your case, but from what you tell me and what you've told me in the past, because I remember this, not many people call me that are attorneys that have CPS cases.
Thank you.
So I remember you. Um, I can't believe, I can believe, but it's just hard for me to understand why they, do things like this. And sometimes it's because, you know, um, they look at you and they think one thing, and they think that you should be acting one way, and if you don't, they're going to teach you a lesson. How many times do we see that people in authority trying to take advantage or teaching people who aren't in authority a lesson?
And
There's
that's what I
somebody.
tell everybody, Mr. Davis. Based on my knowledge, I'm being restricted and biased against, especially because I have that type of combative history 10 years ago where I did physically assault one of the workers who is now the director.
Oh,
So
well, you're screwed
yeah,
no
yeah,
matter what.
yeah.
Based upon that, you and your attorney should consider making a motion to have the case taken away from CPS.
Did that. We're
You know,
waiting on that
is
feedback.
C is CPS in your state county run, county administrated or state administrated?
Their county.
Okay, so what you should do is you should petition or make a motion to have them taken off the case sent to another county, or one of the things they do here in California, and I think it's even in the code, they have the case assigned to the state attorney general's office.
Okay. And that's what
Yeah.
I did. I reached out to the office of Letitia James, the attorney general here in New York. I
Well,
did.
no, you have to make a motion to
Okay.
disqualify the county CPS agency and ask the court to assign it to the state attorney or another county. Because listen, if you're telling me that there's conflict between you and the person that's the director, based upon things that, I've heard in the past about New York, based upon things that are happening now in New York,
Right.
you're not getting your children back.
Right.
Okay.
Because they have
So
changed the goal from return to parent to adoption, but telling me it does not have to go like that. But you have suspended all my visits, all my communication. I didn't even get to go to my daughter's graduation.
So
You know,
you should be making these federal complaints, and you should talk to your attorney about making a possible or filing a possible civil rights case. Now, there was a comment in the comment sections on one of the platforms, and it said something like, "How can you sue them if you can't find an attorney to do it?"
right. That's what I was getting ready to say. That
And that
very many New York attorneys do CPS cases, Mr. Davis.
right
So
there, that is a difficult thing. I acknowledge that, but it's not impossible. There's a guy in New York. I forget his name. He's a former district attorney
Ben
who.
Crump.
No, it's not Ben Crump. And is Ben Crump from New York?
Yes,
Oh,
he
I,
is.
I, I thought he was from Florida or something like
Yeah,
that.
he's from New York.
But if you got Ben Crump to represent you, these people, you probably have your kids
I'm
next
working
week.
on it. I'm working on it.
But there's another guy. He's a former DA, and he's on TikTok, and he's a real fighter. I've talked to him once or twice on my show. I know one of my other hosts, Miss G, has talked to him a few times.
She
I
was
think his
telling
first name is Michael. I can't think of his last.
Sciarra,
Yeah,
Sciarra.
something like that. Something
Yes,
like
yes.
Have you talked to him at all?
I have, but because I had representation for the CPS case, he told me once I get close to the end of fact finding to reach out to him again.
Okay, very good. Yeah, have
Trust
you
me, I'm
talked to
doing a lot
Mr.
of footwork, Mr. Davis. I'm working.
Have you talked to Mr. Crump's office?
I have.
Okay, good, good.
So, it's just because I really don't have the resources and finances, one, based on them stifling my financial stability because I am a city worker out here. My income was decreased based on this allegation being indicated pending the outcome.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope
But I'm
he
working on it.
he
I
can
work
help
every day.
you.
I hope so too. I work every day. I'm on my phone from from working from 8:30 until 6 o'clock every day calling. I have 3 different phones. I use everything that I have.
I know you're right in the middle of this, but after you finish with this, win or lose, would you be interested in joining our platform?
Absolutely. That, oh my God, that would be an honor. Absolutely.
I'll have Grace contact you, because when I first started talking to you today, and I'm thinking, well, I may have talked to this lady before, but you're the one of the few people who have a legal training, and you talk to me like you have legal training, and I'm thinking, okay, this lady knows something, and a lot of times I talk to people, and I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I talked to a woman who's been through the grinder. I mean, they've really, in my opinion, you know, messed her around.
Right.
And she has certain ideas. She's not a lawyer, but she has certain ideas and strategies that she wants to implement. And I'm trying to tell her, that's not going to work. I think you should try this strategy. And this was a free consultation.
Right.
She's not hiring me, but I'm trying to tell her, and she's not having any part of it.
Right.
Because she's lived this so long and she's so hurt, um, that she thinks things should be done a certain way. And, sometimes it's hard, because I understand you've been through I can't even imagine what
Yeah.
you've been through. These are your children and they've taken your children and, in your opinion, in my opinion, probably your lawyer's opinion, they may not be following the law.
At all.
And if you got into an altercation with the director a couple years ago, I mean, that says it
But
all
I'm
to
not
me.
that person anymore, Mr. Davis. I
You you
have
you, you never told me
taken.
that. I don't think you ever told me that
I've done
before.
that. I said that like maybe I said that when I would talk to Miss on Miss G's show or Miss Jones's show and with Mr. David. I mean Mr. Bob Pace.
Okay.
I watch Bob
Well,
every
I
night.
I didn't know that because I would have told you immediately to
Immediately.
make a motion to take your case away from this agency.
That's
Because
why I've been
in
saying
my
this is a
mind, in my
conflict of
mind,
interest for months.
in my mind, if you gave somebody a beat down, you ain't getting your kid back. That's it.
I know, and that's the thing. I'm not that combative. Oh my God, you have no idea how much I've accommodated humbleness and humility in this situation, just this situation alone. This is the
Okay.
longest I've ever been separated from my children.
Okay, look, I got another comment from Nadine Monge, and she brings up a good point, which I'd forgotten. Have you talked to the NAACP or the NAA
Absolutely.
and
And
the
the
NAA
ACLU.
and the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, which is different from the NAACP?
I've talked to both of those entities as well as the ACLU and the American Disabilities Act division.
Okay, so are they helping you, or they not
The
able to help?
ACLU is actually helping me, and also we have public advocate Jamani Williams that also has been assisting me with various legal points. And I'm whatever I can take from your podcast or your platforms, the various people that are on your platforms, I use those resources and implement those as well. Like I said, I just became a sworn in attorney, so I'm still learning as I go along. But I am you know working myself, putting applying myself and learning these tools so I can fight for my children because I'm their
Okay,
biggest cheerleader. So
Nadine also mentioned something, the African American Preservation Act.
act always went there. My tribe is not registered as a federal somebody that can actually be a part of that Indian Preservation Act. So
Okay.
yes, I've already exhausted that resource, but I've also reached out to the LGBTQ our urban LGBTQ advocacy information hotline out here. So, I'm waiting for everybody to get back to me. Everything is a work in progress, but every 2 days I harass these people and I'm on it and
Okay.
they're like, we just spoke to you. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just getting an update.
Well, let me tell you something else that I think is important. Um, During this process, I was involved in a case. They're all similar. People getting their rights violated many years ago. Many years ago. And my client and his wife, I represented the father, someone else represented the mother, insisted against my advice to go on television.
Oh.
And they went on a show. I forgot the name of the show, but I think it was Channel 5 or Channel 9, independent channels here in Los Angeles. But anyway, it's one of these talk shows where they talk about, um, controversial topics. And they went on this show against my advice, and because of the bad publicity the agency received here in this county, they turned the case completely around to their favor.
Wow. Well, I do a
It-
podcast
it-
too, so
and it helped them. Now, I don't advise people to do this, but have you ever thought about doing something like this?
I actually do a podcast called Case Corner where I talk about CPS corruption.
No,
So,
no, no. This wasn't a podcast.
oh no, I
This
don't
was
have
on
any.
real TV, on
Yeah,
cable, on real television.
I've
You
been
know,
trying to actually get some type of news press or just independent like freelancer that would take the story. And I did find one on it's called My Neighbor. It's an app that tells about various freelancers or work in your neighborhood. So I did reach out to a couple of people that did post that they were reporters or they were independent freelancers that would take neighborhood stories. So I did reach out.
now here's something else you should consider. Two things: writing a book, okay,
This
and
this
here's
sounds like the same thing.
the second one: doing a movie.
Really?
Yeah, there was a guy approached me
Wow.
several
Okay.
years ago. Um, he was a real Hollywood producer. He does TV shows now, crime shows. Anyway, he approached me and he said, "Hey, I want to come interview you for a documentary I'm doing on CPS." And I thought, well, whatever. Time went by. I never heard from him. I had forgotten about it. And one day he calls me up and he says, "Hey, can I come by your office on Tuesday next week?" And he reminded me who he was because it had been that long.
Wow.
He comes with a crew of about 5 or 6 guys. They got the lighting guy, they got the camera guy, they got the sound guy, all this stuff. And he interviews me for maybe a couple of hours, it seemed like. And he left, thanked me, and, left. And I never heard from the guy. A few years later, he texts me and he says, "Hey, we're having the movie premiere of my movie about CPS at the so and so theater in downtown Los Angeles. And it's this Saturday evening. You're invited." I'm like, "What? You really did something?" So he did this movie, and I don't know how he got permission because he interviewed a judge or two. He definitely
Right.
interviewed the presiding judge of juvenile dependency. He interviewed actual social workers on the 4 cases he was highlighting in this
Wow.
movie. Of course, he talked to the family and the parents. And all of this is supposed to be confidential. So I
Right.
guess he got permission from the judge somehow, who was the presiding judge. Who's retired now, but he happened to be a very, in my opinion, good judge, very powerful, very well known. But the guy does this movie, and in the movie, there are 3 attorneys that are, part of interviews are put in the middle of the movie, as transitions and stuff. And I'm one of the attorneys, and I'm probably in the movie a total of 5 minutes if you add up all of my little
Your little cameos, huh?
yeah, out of like 2 hours. But anyway, it highlighted the fact and the problems, and it tried to be fair to both sides. But it was a very popular movie online. People were watching it. A lot of people came to the premiere and saw it. It was actually part of a film festival. But
What is it
look,
called?
you know what? I knew you were going to ask me that because I don't remember. Um, God, I don't
I'm
remember.
gonna Google you and find out what it
Well,
is.
just type in CPS movie, something like that.
Okay, CPS movie.
And it's been in the last 5 years that it came out. But anyway, go ahead and look up that movie and and if you can, rent it or play it somehow. But it had a huge impact on people, at least in Los Angeles, maybe
Okay.
even California. But here's the thing, it's one of those things where once you see it, it has an impact, and then time has a way of making you forget,
Right.
right? But if you keep coming out and other people keep coming out weekly, monthly, annually, people are going to start to listen. Well, maybe there is something wrong with the CPS system.
Right.
I once represented a guy who told me they had brought allegations against him for abuse, and it turned out it was false. But they put him through the ringer, and he told me, I kind of heard of CPS, but I always thought that people that were involved in CPS were like the lowest life form on earth.
Right.
Until I got a case, of course, right? Then now I see how unfair all of this has been. And I think that people have to keep coming out, have to keep telling their story. Now, you're in New York, I'm in California, and it's the same, I would say, in every state. I talk to people from all states,
Right.
and everyone has similar complaints. My daughter helps me do a lot of the production, and Grace, of course, has been helping me for years. And you know what they say? Now, they're not even lawyers. They say, all of the cases sound very familiar to each other.
Right.
I was talking to an attorney about this, a friend of mine who does this type of work as well. He said there's only basically 6 or 7 types of cases. That's it.
Exactly.
So when
DV, yep.
people tell me their story, generally I've heard it before. And I already know, what should be going on and what should be done.
And yet
But it's
it's
just
not.
because, yeah, right. And it's for all different types of reasons. All different types of reasons. Hey,
But
Ms.
it mainly
Richardson.
refers to those in the below poverty level. I'm sorry, poverty level, and it's the ones that are less, less educated on what their rights are or what the legal system consists of when it comes to your children,
Yes. Do you know why? I have a theory about that.
because they believe people with melanin are not educated. That's how I feel, or not allowed, or cannot be as educated as
Yeah.
anyone else.
Well, it's because, in my opinion, you won't do anything,
That too,
right?
because I'm getting in trouble for being smart.
Right. So, what are you going to do? I mean, if they take your kids, violate your rights, what are you going to do?
I'm going to be a voice, definitely going to be a voice. And I'm definitely going to fight for my kids. I never stop. And honestly, Mr. Davis, I have stage 4 cancer. I get up and I fight every day.
Oh
So,
my God.
yeah, I've been in hospice status. And then I just found out, I have MS as well. So, I am still dealing with, my appointments. And based on, me medically being like really, really down and out, I still get up. And mentally, I'm still trying to identify my triggers and use my resources, because even with my body breaking down constantly, I'm still well enough to be there for my kids, because I'm a mom. I'm a mom all the time, whether I'm sick or not. I'm a mom,
Right.
and nobody gets to take that from me in any state.
Well, I wish you luck on this fact-finding trial.
Thank you.
Keep me posted when you are ready. Please let me and Grace know that you want to join our platform.
Absolutely.
And I want to tell you a story. I told this story recently. That's why it's in my mind. Many years ago, there was a company, and I don't know if the company still is, in business, but it was a Fortune 1000 company. Okay. And the way they made money was they collected money from people who had gone through bankruptcy. All right.
I remember that.
And what they would do, they would call you after your bankruptcy was over and your debts were erased. They'd call you up and still try to collect the money from you,
Right.
which is illegal civilly, but not illegal criminally, or at least it wasn't at the time. And every once in a while, somebody would take them to bankruptcy court and ask for sanctions against them, and they would win, right?
Right.
But the majority of the people never did that and even paid money.
Wow.
So the example, if I recall correctly, the company was making $100 million. But when they got caught and their hands slapped, they lost about $10 million. Okay, I don't know if the numbers are right, but using it as an
Rounds out,
example.
right.
So you make 100 million, you lose 10 million. That means you're still making 90 million,
Right.
doing something that basically
Illegal.
is civilly illegal.
Right.
Now, if you're in business, is that a good business or a bad business? Economically,
It's a
it's a
good
good
business.
it's a good business. $90 million business.
Right.
Okay. I I equate in a lot of cases CPS to the same thing
Right.
because they're going to violate your rights, but chances are you're not going to do anything. And if you do something, they're going to settle for pennies on the dollar. They're going to, they might get hit with a $2 or $3 million verdict. Or there was one in Orange County several years ago. I think it was 6 or 9 million. But compared to the billions that they get,
That's chump change.
yeah, it's like, okay, well, we lost and whatever. There was a case in Orange County where they lost millions, and they Orange County appealed it, up the chain, and nothing came of the appeal. And later they interviewed someone very high up, and I think it was director, I'm not sure, but they interviewed somebody high up, and this is what this guy said. He said, if we had to do it all over again, we'd do it the same way.
Right.
Do it the same way. Now you just lost several millions of dollars for your county, and you're going to do it the same way. You understand nothing.
Right. You might as well just cut your losses and just give it to us. Just hand it
Right.
over.
Anyway, we're running out of time, Ms.
I
Richardson.
know.
I want to thank you for being a guest.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Sure. And don't forget to contact me when your case is over.
I will not.
And Nadine Monge, Monge.
I speak to her over on Mr. Pace's show. I watch Mr. Pace every day.
Okay. Well, Nadine, I would like you to contact me. You see the telephone number, 888-888-6582. I'd like to talk to you about your case and about your experiences. All right, Ms. Richardson, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for
And tell Miss
watching.
G to call me, please.
I will do that. I will be talking to her in about an hour.
All right. Thank you. You stay
All
blessed.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out. Join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer